there it is. All right, welcome back to another episode of The American Entrepreneur, where we talk to entrepreneurs all across, in the whole entire world, but mostly based in the United States. As long as they have a business that does business in the United States, we want to hear their story. What got them into entrepreneurship? What makes them successful? And then hopefully some of the stories that they have, you guys can take with you in your journey so you can be successful in your own business. The guest that we have today, his name is Daniel Westby, self-employed. So please welcome Daniel. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it was a little bit of struggle getting you on. I know we've been back and forth, and I'm excited that it finally went through. So you just go right into it, man. Who are you? What type of business are you in? What got you into it? And just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, for sure. Well, first of all, my name is Daniel Jason Westby. I'm 24 years old. I'm based actually out of Canada, but of course, business international, mainly in the U.S., but worldwide. And I'll kind of get into why in the U.S. as well, because that comes into my story. But I actually started entrepreneurship at the age of 21, about 3 to 4 weeks before my 21st birthday.
Wow.
I was an honor roll student, always did good in school, but after getting a 1-semester scholarship, I tried out university and hated it. The fact that the professors looked like they were literally about to kneel over and die. Some of them looked like they were just there because they were forced to. And literally I was like, these people are maybe 30, 40, 50 grand years tops, a year. And I want to make more. How am I supposed to do that learning from them? And of course, I come from a single mother. My mom, my first father died from drugs. So I was, of course, very against that my whole life. When I was second father was an alcoholic, ran a multi-million-dollar oil business. First got me to see the real side of the world. I got to travel young, but of course, divorced when I was 14 due to alcoholism. So I also learned the highs and lows. We got to go from being able to travel, have a house with a pool when I was young, to a single mother, right? Basically living off of her line of credit to get her own business started because she was a stay-at-home mom. So I was really driven to always make success for my family. That was the biggest thing, is I realized working a job, I couldn't do that. I saw my grandparents, as much as I loved them, they were the honest workers that, they had a business that failed. They decided to not go into bankruptcy, just work out of the debt, did the regular work, retired from a regular 9 to 5 when they were 70, 80 years old, and just live a humble life. And I realized that to give back, you can't do that. So throughout my whole life, I was looking for ways to become successful, but I had these ideas. But again, every business takes, to most people, they think hundreds of thousands of dollars to start. And for me, coming from a single mother, obviously, I didn't have that money. I saved up all my money when I was young, when I was working from 14 years old, saved it and bought a condo, because I thought, as soon as I turn 19, if I get a good job, buy a place, that's the noble way to do things, right? That's what I was first thinking. So during that time, I was able to really be able to save up, learn that was not the way, because again, adding a mortgage just adds debt. And I was now basically shackled to something that I didn't really necessarily realize I wanted to be forever. Because when you're young, you got to remember that you don't actually truly know what you want because you haven't experienced life. So that's why sometimes people experience life first to realize what they want to do. And I was, again, lucky enough to experience a lot of different cultures, realize I want to live somewhere tropical, right? I saw people doing different things and realizing you could own a business and make millions because my father did it, but I didn't want to do the traditional route. I was so infatuated with the internet. I was so infatuated with people that were young being able to make money in different ways, and I was almost like obsessed with studying why. And it actually came across one day when I was working serving. It was in the winter when I was, again, almost 21. It was a dead cold of winter, so for us that's about January, right? So and I was just scrolling through Kijiji, which is basically the American Craigslist for a job, right? I was tired of what I was doing. I was looking for something else, and I found across and it said being a promoter. So I was kind of interested, and it turned out to being network marketing. Now, for myself, I've never been in it before. I actually ignored it for about 5 or 6 phone calls. The person tried to call me. Once I responded to the ad, I ignored it. Finally, because I'm Canadian, right, we're polite, I didn't want to be rude, so I decided, I'll just go to this person's house and just, get whatever they're offering for free. But during that event, it was a small meeting, maybe 2 people, right? You would never expect anyone to join it. It's probably, if you guys have ever gone to a network marketing event where your friends invite you to one of their houses.
I've been to many, yeah.
Yeah, it was literally that, and it was almost embarrassing. But the video they showed was a young person that was making $20,000 a month, and all I saw was how he was talking and the things he was teaching about just basically taking risks and doing things yourself. And the only thing that went through my head was, I'm smarter than him. Like, he doesn't seem that smart. I can do this probably better. So literally, I was already $1,000 in debt on my credit card. I had about $1,000 left on the credit because it was a $2,000 limit. I just asked them a bunch of questions about it and just signed up that day on my credit card. They're like, oh, by the way, it takes about a month for the product to come. I was like, cool, just give me a few samples or whatever. I just researched all day about good and bad about network marketing, right? I became like obsessed now with network marketing since I saw that was a way for less than a credit card debt, I could still become a business owner. Within my first 60 days, I was able to make a good $10,000 in sales. Someone randomly in the company just noticed me because, of course, they have tracking status. So someone reached out to me, said, "Hey, we want you to come to Vegas." It was my birthday. I was like, "Okay, I don't have enough money," so I made more sales, made enough to get a flight, literally through the company. I quit my job. The job actually closed down, surprisingly. It was actually 2 or 3 weeks in the business. The job that I was working at the restaurant, it just randomly locked the doors and didn't give us our last paycheck. So I started a business, I was back against the wall, and I realized I literally had to do this. It was like, do this or go even more in debt and now have to work for 2 years to pay off my debt. I already had $18,000 in debt for a bad car that I bought, so I was in bad trouble. So I just took the leap. And from there, I was able to find some mentors. I was able to reach out, and some people said, follow me. We're successful in business. Just listen. And I listened to older people that had what I wanted. They were making 6 figures from business, right? They were able to help other people make 6 figures. So I just realized I need to learn their integrity, because the biggest difference from what they were doing and what I was doing, because I was having all these people drop out of my business, is I was a salesperson. I was doing network marketing and sales, pushing the hype. And I learned from them, no, it's about building relationships. It's about teaching people. So I learned about personal development for the first time in my life about 4 months into the business, after my team grew to about 90 people and dropped to 10. And that's when I learned about helping others and leadership. So I decided not to recruit anyone for about 3 months, just build myself. And my team grew naturally to about 200 people, just from the natural growth. But within my business, that was my first ever business, my first ever stunt at entrepreneurship. I found for me, product-based wasn't the way to go. I loved helping people make money. I wasn't so much about the weight loss that I was a part of. So I went into service-based. I realized, because it was my first ever, I never heard about network marketing before that. I realized there's all these companies. There's all these different services. So I kind of went on a journey to find what was my favorite thing. Just like I tell people, what you first think is yours might not be what you're most interested in. So I went on a journey. I tried out different things. There was about a year of me basically being like, just that sampler. I was making some part-time money, still working a part-time job at that time, and a full-time job as well. But I was finding what was mine, because I knew this industry would work. And that's when I found, again, a company. I found into learning how to trade Forex during my time, because networking was just part-time. So I was like, well, I am entrepreneurship. What else is there out there aside from network marketing? Because that was my first thing I was introduced to. Found about trading Forex and things like that. So again, got obsessed with both of them, found that they can both mix, and started basically building a business where I was helping people, instead of selling a product that they have an auto ship for, because I learned inside, I don't want to sell people on $500 packs. I don't want people to pay for a product if they're not going to make money. That was just like my moral. I don't know what it was, but something inside of me was like, you know what? No matter what it is, I can eat healthy if I want to eat healthy and be a part of a product base. I can eat a vegetarian diet, right? There's things I can promote and help people where I don't charge them money. But when it comes to financial education, banks charge people and give them 0.06% interest in America. It's even worse in Canada, right? So I realized if people can learn to trade their own money and if I can help someone make $20 a day, that's enough for me to actually show someone entrepreneurship. So I got into that. I got into business where it was about teaching people and helping people in that way. And literally within 6 months, I skyrocketed to a $30,000 month income.
$30,000 a month?
$30,000 a month, yes.
Wow.
So from December of this year, I guess, because it's December now, so from last December till April, it went literally to a 6-figure income. I made over 6 figures in that time frame, and I realized this is that niche that I wanted to be in. So for myself, everyone has a different niche, and that's one thing I'm going to tell people on this. Never believe that you have to follow someone else, but you're going to find what you love. And I found that helping people, that's what I did. I learned Forex. I could trade myself, so it became like, imagine being in a weight loss company where the person was a dietitian. They could help you become losing weight with the product on top of other knowledge, right? So I became value myself. And that's one of the first keys I'm going to tell people on this call is no matter what you do, you want to be more valuable than your company. Richard Branson is more valuable than his company.
For sure.
Tony Robbins is more valuable than his company. Bob Proctor is more valuable than his company. If they leave, their company will not be the same. Steve Jobs was honestly more valuable than Apple, because Apple, you can see, has been on a decline since Steve Jobs left, since he died. So people got to realize that sometimes they can be more valuable than the company. So that's the first thing I did. I provided value or join something. For instance, network marketing, there's millions of companies, there's hundreds of other people in your company. What's going to make someone join you? Because you have value to give. If you don't have value, you will be able to attract customers, but you won't build a business of leaders. And that's why most people say that network marketing doesn't work, is because it's, number one, not designed for people to make 6 figures. It's designed for average people to get some customers, make some part-time income. But a leader develops a lot of those and then develops themselves again. So they find, first of all, a part-time income to a full-time income by helping multiple people do that, and then they clone themselves so they can turn that into 6 figures. If you don't clone yourself, you can't do anything. So that's why people expect people to do it for them. Again, the fact that I became who I was just a fluke, right? Some people will do the ride or die mentality, and they will succeed more likely because they're putting more on the line, but you don't have to be successful. You just have to learn to duplicate and have a system. And most people, when I saw network marketing, just like I started, they did the sales route, and no one likes a salesman, but everyone loves a friend that helps. So if they change their mentality, that would also create this, awful stigma where people think that people don't make money when there's $200 million a day paid out in network marketing, right? It is the lowest startup for businesses. I tell people it's a stepping stone, right? Even if you're in network marketing, you're probably going to open a franchise. You're probably going to start a podcast. You're probably going to do something else to create another stream of income, maybe create a book. Alex Morton wrote a book, right? That's what he did to create another source of income, right? He created Alex Morton Mindset and started doing these speeches just like Tony Robbins, and he made money that way. So people got to realize it's a stepping stone to almost like I call it the Marine boot camp of entrepreneurship, where you got to learn the good, the bad, the ugly, all while building a network. So it's not about how good your skill is or how good your ideas are. It shows you how to work with others, because even if you have a good idea, if you don't know how to work with others, you will not be able to have a good idea succeed. That's why Picasso's paintings didn't become famous until he died, because someone else took that idea and blew it up, right? So you have to be able to, you have to have that network. And again, when you build a network of people that you can help, your business is going to be more successful. If you were able to help people create an extra $200 a month and you opened a restaurant, I promise you they're going to go there for their business meetings, because you've helped them, right? You've now created that network, and your network is your net worth. So I use that as a stepping stone. But for myself, I'd have businesses failed, right? When I left my first company, a few years later, it got hit by the FTC because people were not promoting it right? My second company that I joined when I left that shut down 3 or 4 months within it, right?
Wow.
I joined my first company when I joined trading was losing people money because they didn't know what they were doing. So I had to go through troubles. It isn't like a smooth ride. People just see the glory, but they don't realize I've had business fail about 4 times before I had my success. Most people quit against 1 failure. 99% of people quit against 3 failures in the same industry. I went through 4 before I had my success. So people have to realize, even after I had my success and reached that point, the company still went under. There was still another. I had a 5th failure this year. My 5th failure this year after hitting 6 figures. So even once you make it, it's not all nice and easy. But the funny thing is, did I get back to 6 figures after it failed? Absolutely. Because once you have that system, once you have the people that you know, why do you think, what's his name? Of course, your guys' president, I guess, Donald Trump. He was a billionaire, and then he lost it all. He was $1 billion in debt, and then made it all, and now is president. How can you go from billions of dollars in debt to then billions of dollars in profit to becoming president? Well, it's because once you have a system in place and a network, it doesn't matter. Every successful person I've seen that went from the bottom up is because they first, number one, started giving value for free and connecting with people, and those people started helping them. I was actually mentored by one of the #1 salesmen in eBay. He was one of the top, I think he was the top sports equipment salesman on eBay, and he started homeless. And it was one day he was just homeless. He gave his last dollars to a homeless person. He was just talking and made some good friends. He was like kind of that poor person around a circle of millionaires, that he was just giving good value. And one day one of them said, I have 50 baseball bats that I can't sell. I'm going to give them to you. I'm going to give them to you on a loan for about $20 a bat. You sell them, you can make the profit however you want, right? So he put them on eBay, sold them for $50 a bat, made $2 grand. Reinvested that same $2 grand back into more. and did that for the first year of his business, literally living off of ramen noodles until he won one of those, what's it called, like those global awards for eBay. He became a multi-million-dollar sales a year at eBay, also did network marketing, owned a bunch of real estate in Hawaii because he made the money, but it all started when he was homeless. Because he started giving value and someone gave an opportunity that he took and realized this could become something. So you never know, right? You never know where it's going to come from. That's why I might have heard from a Craigslist ad. Who would have ever joined entrepreneurship from a Craigslist ad? Nobody.
Yeah. Well,
But
you
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 take
you
risks.
nailed it. You nailed it with that point where your back was up against the wall. So was his, where you could have given in and went after another job. You could have given in and said, you know what, I'm all right. Let me just gotta make enough money through a job that I hate for 2 years and maybe pay off the debt. Or I could fight my way out of this, becoming thicker skinned and stronger as I go.
Exactly. Bob Proctor did the same thing. If you heard his story, right? He was making $4,000 a year, $6,000 in debt at the time. And then within the next year, he was making $100,000 a year. And he was a cleaning business. He was cleaning people's offices by himself. And he was able to switch it to that within a year. Tony Robbins is another example. People don't know, like, people always ask, how did Tony Robbins become Tony Robbins? And when you watch his interviews, because I study him and how he breaks down and basically reverse engineers people's thoughts to find out the issue and how people are successful, is he put his back against the wall purposefully. He was on an interview and he told people, because people are saying, well, you're saying you're this guru, or you're saying you want to have seminars. What makes you worthy? And he said, give me any patient of yours that you couldn't heal, and I'll be able to heal them in less than an hour of whatever mental issue they have. And he put himself, he's never done it before, but he put himself against the wall. It was either a fail or succeed, and he did it. Ever since then, he became successful. More people started coming. He became more and more better. Of course, more and more successful at what he was doing, helped more and more people. Now he can do it in a room where he can pull someone over for 10 minutes in one of his 5-day seminars and change 100 people's lives in the seminar, because it takes him 10 minutes instead of an hour. But it started with his back against the wall, and then he learned what he had to do. Imagine if you didn't have a job and you had to learn to survive. You would learn how to cook and how to make a fire, even though you've never done it before. You would find a way if your survival was at hand. And people have to put that mentality, even though we know you could survive off of unemployment like a lot of people do. You could do the regular route and just scrape by. But again, with any risk, realistically, you want to have that mentality. But the beautiful thing is you don't have that kind of risk. Like, what is the worst case scenario if you try an entrepreneurship and it fails? You could go back to a job that you were doing. You could try again. You could fail 1,000 times. KFC was founded when he was 65 years old.
Yeah,
right?
That's right.
He went through
His
being
life
a
story is crazy. His life story is
crazy.
Absolutely insane. You think you have it bad? That guy had it bad.
Exactly. So when people realize that most billionaires had it bad, and they realize it was because they had that back against the wall mentality. But even him, he failed, but he just got a job and tried again. Failed, got a job and tried again. When my network marketing business failed and I lost all my residual, I got a job and tried again. Right? I realize that that's what you have to do, but people have to be that kind of mentality where, yes, it's gonna fail. Things are gonna go wrong sometimes. Business is a roller coaster, I tell people. The stock market is a roller coaster. How many times does it crash? Don't expect it not to crash, right? Things like that happen, but it's how you react. It's how you do. What I tell people is how you do when it's down is what determines your success. Because everyone can do good when it's up. Everyone can be a real estate agent when the business is booming. Grant Cardone went in when the business was in a recession, and that's where he made his millions. Right? People forgot that Grant Cardone was a real estate agent in the worst times, and that's where he became successful, because he again took that risk. Everyone's leaving the business. I'm going to run in because that's open territory, right? I'm going to be the best. I might have to work 200% harder to get a sale, but I'm the only person to get sales, so I'm going to work 400% harder today, and I'm going to get twice as many sales, right? And then when people come back, I'm already going to have a reputation because of his network. So who are they going to go to? The guy that was there when times were tough, and he was there to help them, or this random person that just came in?
Yeah.
No, he built a reputation, right? So that's one of the biggest things I also tell people is build a network. Like, you need to have people that know you, because when you do business, your trust and how people trust you matters everything.
You want to be the expert in your field, in your certain area, right?
Exactly.
That's the whole key.
If you aren't an expert, if people don't trust you, and if people don't refer to you, right, then what kind of expert? If you say you're an expert, that's one thing. But if people say you're an expert for you, it's a whole other thing. So I always tell people, that's why you help people. If you're in a business, if you're a real estate agent, for instance, because I was looking to do real estate, I tell people,
I've done it.
Yeah, exactly. Don't try to just get the biggest houses and make the most commissions. Try to actually get someone a deal where you're going to make commissions no matter what, but try to get them a house where you know they're going to make X 5 years. So when they come back, they say, guess what? I'm going to be selling my house now, and I'm in massive equity profit, and you're going to be the salesman to sell it. because you got it for me, and I made equity because I listened to you. And I'm referring all of my friends that are looking to buy houses to you now because you are an expert and you've helped me, right? You can have an ad that's extra, but if you have someone make a video review, or maybe on a local news channel someone writes about you or anything like that, that's way more important, right? Having people's reviews. So that's why I tell people, get that kind of thing when you start a business. You can have 1 million good reviews when you start an Amazon business, right? And you have all your friends, first of all, start buying all the things that you offer through you. You're going to, number one, be able to at least break even because your network off the bat. Plus, if they're going to refer people to you, you're going to have an amazing rating. That's going to increase your business in any kind of business. When you look for a restaurant randomly, you're just searching on Yelp and you find a 5-star review and a bunch of good reviews, you're like, hey, this sounds awesome, right? That right there is another way that just simple networking and having your friends, right, opening, they know that you care, that they actually write a good review, and now you're the top of the list for that. It could be in any business in the world. The business principles I've learned from Tony Robbins is 80% the same. Every business is 80% the same, then 20% a little bit different depending on your niche, your category, or your field. But 80% of it comes down to that hard work, having to literally put that mind against or back against the wall mentality, building your network to where there's people that actually trust and respect you and see you as an expert, so you're not saying it, but they're saying it. And then again, looking to actually help people because a paycheck comes no matter what you do, right? If you were going to sell water bottles, try to make the best. Just sell another rebranded something that's out there. Try to do something different because, as Richard Branson says, if you're going to do a business, you have to be out there to change something or help people. If you're not, then you're not going to be in a business for long, right? He didn't create a train line like Virgin Mobile or Virgin Airlines or any of that. He didn't just create it. He wanted the most economical way for the average person to travel. He wanted to cut every rate to all the major cities down majorly for any single person so that his rates be any rate by $50 plus. His goal before he started it. When I was in Europe and I was taking his airlines, I took his trolleys because it was cheaper. Because that was his goal. It was like, what was it? It was something like never more than like $2 for a certain distance anywhere in Europe.
Wow,
right?
I didn't know anything about the trolleys.
Yeah, so those are the ways that he did business, and that's why he does it. He created members, right? Even if you're using his trolleys, you can get a phone plan and get a membership, right? He has different memberships for people to get his phone plans, and he gives you perks. It's not just a phone plan. He's like, hey, shop at any of the stores that I might have a share in, basically, and you get discounts, right? He's doing things more for people that other people don't. So providing that kind of value and caring more about the people and making your whole product about the people is where the final destination comes. And that's why there's people in every industry that fail and succeed. You'll see the people that are more about money will fail. They might be successful for a bit, but they'll fail. The people that care about people the most, they're the ones that will succeed. That's why there's certain businesses that have risen in every single category that are billion-dollar businesses or million-dollar businesses when there's other ones that are scraping by. Right? You got to get yourself out there. Howard Schultz, right? It's just a coffee company, but he got himself out there more because he realized, well, he just did the math, right? People are only willing to walk X amount of miles or steps for a cup of coffee. I have to open my store every single certain area to reach this many people. That's why there's so many Starbucks in New York, because people aren't going to walk more than 20 steps from their building for coffee when it's freezing cold. He marketed on that. He capitalized his coffee on a location, right? It wasn't his coffee.
It's a real estate company. Based real estate company that offers
exactly. And how does he make more? Because he also thought, well, I could franchise it out, but as long as I get my brand out there, and as long as people know I'm the cup of coffee that's always across the corner, I could just be managers and get all the money. That's why there's no owners of Starbucks but himself, right? If you can't open a Starbucks store, you can be hired as a manager, but he is the owner, right? So he revolutionized, instead of franchising outwards grow, he did it inwards, but he built such a good system like McDonald's did that his system could work with him managing all the franchises.
It's amazing.
It was genius. So those are all the things. So when you want to be an entrepreneur, you have to personally develop. All those people read. All these people develop their mind, because you might think like, how do they think of these things? Because if you're done reading or if you're done school, the average American doesn't read a book after college. Most people, 50% of people, never even touch a book after 5 years out of college, right? So the fact that most people that are successful read personal development and reading things that matter, you're going to learn. That's literally someone's entire 10 years of education you can read in a month. That's the whole purpose of it. So I tell people, if you want to get good in anything, read while you're doing, or audiobooks or something while you're not doing something productive. I was always listening to let it be Darren Hardy, let it be Gary Vaynerchuk, let it be T. Harv Eker, let it be Bob Proctor. I always had an audiobook on because then I learned so many different things and so many different ways to think. And when you reprogram your brain, this is probably the last tip of advice I'll probably give is about the reprogramming your brain, which is what personal development does. People always do personal development, but like I told you, I like to go down to go down to reverse engineering. Why do people personal develop? So it actually goes down to your brain chemistry. People's brains are formed by dendrites, which are the connections and the synapses in your brain, which make you do everything. If you don't brush your teeth every day, it's because your synapses in your brain have created a habit to not brush your teeth every day. People tell you it takes 30 days to change a habit. It's actually around something around 67 for a whole dendrite.
Yeah, 65, 67, somewhere in there.
That's how long a dendrite takes to change its route, to change its connection in your brain. So if you're brushing your teeth daily and you want to make it a routine, or working out to where it's like feels unnatural for you to do it, it takes 68 days where your brains will actually change where they're connecting. So it's again the path of least resistance. Before it was a path of resistance, which is why you're resisting doing it. But once it becomes a normal, the strengthened synapse, that's a path of least resistance, so it becomes normal. So personal development actually changes the synapses in your brain, since you're now thinking for that percentage of time, you're working your brain and thinking of things differently. The same way that people would give homework was simply just to make those synapses in your brain tough. That's why you hated homework. It wasn't bad. It's because it's putting stress on your synapses and your dendrites to change, to become more efficient. And that's hard for us. So that's why, again, working out causes pain, studying causes pain, personal development you don't want to do until you do it, because you got to get that synapses. But then your synapse becomes naturally adapted to personal development, where I literally had a friend who would sit and feel weird if he didn't read a book a day. If he wasn't reading every day, he was literally, we were like going out doing meetings for business, and he was like sitting in the back of the car like this, and I was like, what's wrong? He's like, man, I just got to read. Like, I haven't read today.
Oh my God.
Right?
It's
And it was literally, yeah, and that right there it was his dendrites he changed, and that's why he was successful. He literally was a fraternity student, but at Yale. And how did he get there? Because he was reading books before he got to Yale. He had that mentality, that dendrite built in, like bodybuilders have with working out, right? Just like successful people have with sales. Some people cannot go to bed unless they make a sale in the night because their dendrites are programmed that way. But you have to go through that stress to get there. You have to realize that people that are successful tell you to do that because some people don't understand the dendrite part. But when you understand it, some people realize, oh my God, they're not telling me this because it's just, repetitive. They're telling me this because there's a science behind it. It's just most people don't want to understand the science. They want the simplest version, right? But there is a science behind every single thing successful people do. So that's what I always encourage people to do, is change their synapses, because that will change you. You'll be the same person, but you will be brighter. You will have faster synapses. You will touch parts of your brain and grow them to where you'll learn new things, because our brain is so powerful we don't even imagine what we can tap into. Right?
Yeah,
so
it's true.
That's I guess the last little piece of advice on that part.
I mean, you threw a ton at the audience. That's a lot to go over and to digest. And I'm telling you, for people actually out there who are looking to be entrepreneurs, watch this video over and over, because there's a lot that he said there that it just is dead on. I mean, service-related business. I encourage anybody who's looking to start a business, start with a service. He just talked about the synapses and changing your daily routines. They always say that the to go to the next level of your life requires a different version of you, and I believe that wholeheartedly, because you have to adjust in a different way and become somebody that you're not to get results that you're not getting. And Daniel really hit on a lot of that stuff. It's just, that's impressive. You've been through all this. You said are you 24, 26?
24 now. 24 now.
And you got into it. You started this at 19.
Just about 20, just before my 21st birthday. So it's been literally close to 4 years now, getting close to 4 years. So as I put it, I would have just graduated college probably with a master's degree just now. If I took the college route, and I'd probably be $80,000 in debt extra. So that's the differences that I saw. And that's why I tell people, take 4 to 6 years, because anything else you're going to do, you're going to put 4 to 6 years behind it and put 50 to 60 grand behind it. Why would you not do that for your own self in your own business, right?
I agree. They don't teach entrepreneurship in the way that they should in schools. Now, I've seen entrepreneurship minors in schools, and I just don't think that you can be taught it. You have to go out there and do it. I think that's the key to it all, is that you're the one that actually has to put your money on the line to create a product or service and ask money for it and see how the market responds to you. And I think that's that's something that people are not getting until they actually risk it all and go for it. So
Exactly, because if you are going to school or anything, you're basically just paying for a mentor. But now you got to realize which mentor are you paying for, right? Because at school there's different teachers. Maybe a teacher did run successful businesses and now he just wants to teach, right? There are some of those teachers out there, which I never want to bash because I had one in middle school that was an engineer, made 6 figures, chose to teach people in high school because he actually wanted to teach people the morals of success and about following your dreams and what you actually care about, not just money. So there are certain people out there that have success and that can teach you, and I would call him probably my earliest mentor before I even knew it, because he told me, he basically taught us, don't follow the system, right? Follow your dreams, but do what you love and you're going to make money with it coming, right? He first was an engineer and then became a science teacher, but he was happy with it. He was making enough money with what he was. They offered him enough because of his experience. So you might have those teachers you can learn from, but 90% of them you don't know, especially in university, you don't get to choose your teacher. So it's not the safest route. It's kind of rolling the dice, and some people will get lucky and others, right? They're just literally on the bad path paying for a bad mentor.
I've seen it. I've seen a lot of people in major debt from school. They get out with a degree and they sometimes hate what their degree is in. So that
Very
right
true.
there is starting over at a certain age, and you're thinking to yourself, wait a second, why did I do all this? And that's going to be defeating. They'll put some people in a bad spot, and then they have to make really big jumps in their life, and a lot of their friends and family will be criticizing them the whole way, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Because that's what entrepreneurship's all about, is taking risk and having other people see your failures, but you just can't care, because at the end of the day, it's your life, it's not anybody else's.
Exactly. In fact, my oldest brother went to school for law. So he went over 6 years in school for law, got a job at one of the biggest law firms in our state, or in our province, I guess, because we're Canada. But he hated the job. He literally was miserable every day. And about less than a year in, he actually quit and decided to stop being a lawyer because he saw what the actual job entailed once he got into it, because school didn't teach him for it, and he was miserable. He went into accounting, and now from accounting he went into actual stock firm. So imagine from all of that, he literally went to stock firm, which he only needed an accounting degree for, which is what he minored in, but he spent all those 6 years, got his job now that he's working at 29 or 30 years old. And that's finally where he feels happy with his career.
Wow.
But he made the mistake, but he was at least willing to learn and adapt, right? And that's the biggest things I'll tell people. You will get depressed. There will be times where you feel like just giving up, but the biggest thing you got to realize is that's the time that's testing you and telling you, are you really wanting this to work?
Oh yeah.
Right? Because everyone wants it to work when it's right. Everyone wants it to work when it's going good, but do you really want it to work? Like, do you really want? Now it's kind of like, in a sense, like once you reach a rock bottom, I would almost say it's like the thankful, because now you, number one, know how to get back up because you saw where you fell from. So it's easier to get there, and then from there you've now had more experience climbing, so it's easier to climb up further, right? So all of that experience teaches you, and I don't encourage people to try to put themselves through a hardship, but hardships do make the best entrepreneurs. And if you haven't had you don't have to create a fake story. I've seen people create fake stories about their life to make themselves sound more intriguing, but no, use your experience. It might not be the worst. You might come from a rich family, but maybe you want to do something yourself and prove that you can be something without a rich family. You want to show something you can take that direction on your own and become your own legacy. Right? Everyone has their own purpose. You don't need to be from the bottom, just like Donald Trump wasn't. But guess what? He did go through hardships.
For sure.
But he did go through. Was there criticism? Absolutely.
More than anybody else, of course.
Probably still half of America still criticizes him, but still, the day he did what he wanted to, he still pushed. And that was the biggest thing that made him successful. He could have given up when he lost $1 billion and crawled back to his father and just lived off of a wealthy lifestyle, right? His kids could have chosen the same thing, but when he chose to be president, they said, let us run your company, right? People will hate, but they also got to realize there's nobility in people actually taking responsibility, and sometimes even taking more on their plate than they think they can handle to see what stress feels like so they can grow, right? Someone's right. Maybe he's not qualified for president right now, but guess what? He's willing to take on the stress. And he's been willing to take on stress and handle failure before, when most people that have run for president and failed never try again. Right? Most people that run a business and fail never try again. He's pushed through that. So he's basically shown, guess what? Maybe we will have a bad year in our 4-year campaign, but I'm going to learn and adapt because I've done that. If I bring us into $1 trillion deficit, I'll bring us into $2 trillion surplus after, because I've done the same thing with business. Right? But I take my risks play off more better, like they play it better than they don't, right? Everyone's had failed businesses, from Tesla to Elon Musk to Richard Branson to, oh God, you name it, right?
Yeah.
Donald Trump, like Trump steak, but
yeah, but that, I mean, into it, I think is, you know, I think with the personal development that comes from even just failure. I mean, put yourself out there. The personal development gives you the confidence. Like, think about this as an entrepreneur. Risking failing, you learn a lot of things. You learn your strengths, you learn your weaknesses, you learn people who can help you out, what you value in the world. But then you take that and you say, well, I'm not good at this. Let me get better at speaking. Let me get better at writing. And all of a sudden, the personal development extends out just even further from that business that you've created, but it extends out in the communication skills. Think about how much of a better communicator you are now than you were 4 years ago. And it's just in the confidence inside you that you can fix things if it's broken. You can fix things if if there's a product or service out there that you think you can do better in. You know that you have the abilities to do it because you've overcome some things in your life. And I think that that's the biggest takeaway as an entrepreneur, that the confidence not only just in business but outside of business that you can apply to. And that's what this whole show's about, is that you get to show others that, hey, we're not superhuman if you become a super successful entrepreneur. It's just that you never gave up, and you learned along the way, and you made the right moves with the right people.
If you look at it, if you succeed, you get rewarded, but if you fail, you learn, right? And that's why I am where I am, because I could admit I would not be where I am today. I would not have income if I didn't go through the failures, because I learned so much about the industry, so much about different things because of failure, right? I might not have even been in the industry I am today if my business that I first started was going mediocrely okay and continued.
Right? I for sure wouldn't be. If things went well early on, I wouldn't be here. And I'm actually thankful that some people made it difficult for me in the beginning, and my business has failed, and rental property and some tenants that I've dealt with, and I'm so happy for some of that stuff. Like it's incredible.
Exactly, it's all learning experience. People is always be thankful for the failures, because they're put there for a reason, because they're telling you you need to learn something before you reach the next level. It's kind of like, it's exactly like, I almost put it like the stock market. The markets will reach a certain point, then they're going to crash a bit before they reach a new high, right? They're always going to. Why is there that crash? It's like, hey, you need to do something different before you can get to that new level, and they do something different. They react, right? And people are the same way. So when you hit that new success, you're not going to have that drop. You are going to. So like, when you first reach 6 figures, don't blow all your money. Realize there's going to be, like, almost anticipate a storm, because you know there's going to be, right? No matter what kind of car you buy, you know there's going to be rust eventually, right? Doesn't matter how much you wax it, there's going to be rust eventually. So always prepare for that, right? And once you prepare for that and you are prepared and you know what's coming, then when you see the storm, you're like, oh man, I already got my umbrella ready, I got my rain jacket, I've already told everyone, I got food supplies stocked up, I'm ready, right? It's a lot better than having a Mercedes out in the storm and having that destroyed, right? So that's the biggest lesson, is always plan for it as well, because that's why people say when you make money, I always tell people, from the money I make, I save up at least half of it, and then I reinvest a quarter of what I make, and then a quarter of what I make is what I spend and live off. So even though I make 6 figures, you won't see me buying the new Mercedes or new vehicle. I have a BMW that's paid off, but again, I reinvest my money and I save it, because if something happens, I'll be prepared. If a new investment pops up that might be very lucrative, you can take that investment opportunity because you're prepared, because you never know when something's going to happen, right?
For sure. It's beautiful, man. This is incredible. I actually have another meeting lined up here, so I'm gonna actually have to go. But Daniel, that is actually what you just said is so valuable, and I think the people who are watching this are going to truly love it. And you hit on so many major points that even after this, I'd still like to be in touch with you and talk with you further, because this is, I mean, you have a lot of value. You've been through a lot, and everything you're saying makes sense. And I've been through it myself, and you're a good person to know. So.
Thank you so much.
Information for websites, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. What are the stuff you want the audience to see or hear about?
Yes, if you guys want, my Facebook is easy. It's just facebook.com/Daniel Jason Westby. right? My Instagram is I am Daniel Westby. Very simple, but you can just follow me on those. I'm mostly active on Facebook, to be honest. I'm not one of those entrepreneurs that goes on every social media platform because, again, I am one of those everyday people. I don't have time for it, right? I have a girlfriend. I have things I love to do. I love to travel, and I'm just like not always wanting to post about everything I do. So I'm mostly on Facebook, but realize you don't need to be someone that's on everything. Find what you love. Like I love Facebook, so I post there, right? You might love just Snapchat, just post there then, but find that thing. I'm just on Facebook though. Instagram, I'll try to be more. I'm trying to just to, provide more value for the people that, because I can only have 4,000 friends, right? So I'm trying to provide more value in other places, but just add me on Facebook, guys. You can message me. I actually answer to people. I'm not one of those leaders in this industry that ignore people either. It's one of those things where I personally believe that everyone needs to learn from someone. And if I can just impact someone with 10 seconds, then that's all that matters.
Beautiful. That's awesome, man. Hey, thank you so much, Daniel. Really, really, it's actually incredible what you said. So thank you very much for your time. I'll contact you after this video. So
All right, perfect,
I
man.
really appreciate it. And guys, stay tuned for more. There's going to be a lot of entrepreneurs telling their story, adding more value to your life, hopefully, telling their highs and lows of entrepreneurship. And we really hope you enjoy this. Don't forget, the American entrepreneur will always create more. Thank you very much, guys.